Hi guys, if you're a super popular and cool content creator, like say a Peter McKinnon, or a super popular, cool, and handsome content creator like yours truly, you are going to do a lot of videos that people will love and you will run out of storage almost immediately. I have so many hard drives, I have no idea what is on them. A bunch of them have failed on me, so I've lost that footage forever. Of course, I need a better solution. I also need to be able to access my files if I am not home or if I'm collaborating with someone else. I also want the functionality of something like a Dropbox or a Google Drive, but I want to own it myself. Well, enter a NAS unit, network attached storage. I switched a few years ago. I will tell you all of the things that I did because much like me after a few cocktails, it is super easy. And right now you can get this one here that I'm about to talk about. It is a sponsored video, but this one is going to be 25% off from the 7th to the 11th, but this will apply to a lot of the NAS units out there. However, these UGREEN ones really do have some nice upgrades over something like my Synology unit. And even though I've been working off a Synology NAS for the last few years, the DS1821 Plus, I'm glad there's other companies coming around giving you great functionality and working with a lot of different third-party hard drives like UGREEN here. This one here is the DXP4800 Plus, and there are other configurations that you can buy, but I like this one because it's nice, small, compact, and you can get up to 112 terabytes of storage. That is about 39 million photos or 76,000 videos, so that should do me for a couple of years. And sponsored or not, if these UGREEN units were available back when I got my DS1821 Plus, I 100% would have gotten one of these things, so I am probably going to pick up a larger unit so I can future-proof myself. I'll make the Synology a backup. I'll put it in a different location. Going to use these UGREENs from now on. And I'm sure you'll see why during the course of this video, but if you are doing a lot of content, you will find yourself looking for a NAS unit one of these days. So hopefully I can explain how I use it and it might be a bit helpful to you. Because if you just try to get an Apple product, let's say you get one of these MacBook Pros or a Mac Mini, Mac Studio, upgrading the storage costs so much. Apple wants to take a kidney for you to upgrade your storage. Plus, I don't like editing right off the internals of my computer. I like to keep them nice and clean, working fast, and have everything in one location over here. And of course, NAS units can do so much more. You can use them to set up security cameras. You can have media servers on them. The sky is the limit with a NAS unit, but I'm a basic boy, so I will tell you what I do and the things you will need. I will link everything below that I am talking about. So for me, the musts are making this a giant hard drive that is connected to the internet and also has a bit of redundancy. So if one of the drives fails, then I can swap it out, put in a new drive. It'll rebuild itself and I won't lose my data. I always like that about the NAS, but I also want it to be fast enough to edit off of directly. And UGREEN makes that easier than my Synology because it comes with a 10 gigabit Ethernet port just built right in. With Synology, I had to buy an extra one. Oh, and I will also link a video by Forrest Chaput de Saint-Onage, I'm pretty sure I pronounced that perfectly, who does a walkthrough setup of this UGREEN. So in case you don't know what I'm talking about, you can follow him step by step. I'm going to give you the broad strokes over here. So what are you going to need? Well, you have to make sure your internet is 10 gigabit capable. So if you have a router that has a 10 gigabit port, that is great. So I am just going from my 10 gigabit Ethernet port into what is a 10 gigabit switch right here. So I plug that in and now I can plug in the NAS unit and my computer into this thing and I will get 10 gigabits throughout the system. So when I flip this around, you can see the 10 gigabit Ethernet port and a 2.5 gigabit Ethernet port, which is great. You could go to 2 different servers if you wanted. You can just hook one up to your computer, one up to the internet, but I'm just going to use the 10 gig port and use my switch. So this Ethernet cable is going directly into my 10 gig port in my router. Now I will hook up the NAS unit to this switch. Just put another Ethernet cable into the 10 gigabit port on my UGREEN and into the switch. Now that one is ready to go. I need one more Ethernet cable. Plug the last Ethernet cable into the switch, and now if your computer like this Mac Mini has a 10 gigabit Ethernet port, I made sure to buy one with 10 gigs, then you can just hook that up to your Mac and now you are good to go. But if, let's say, you're using a laptop that only has USB-C, like this MacBook Pro, then you do need an extra little device right here. This upgrades my Mac to make it 10 gigabit Ethernet compatible. It has a USB-C on this end to plug into the Mac, and then you plug this cord, the Ethernet, into the Ethernet port on this little device. I will link this as well. Now my MacBook Pro can support the 10 gigabit speed. And that is it. You got a 10 gigabit switch. It's your internet going into that switch and then out from the switch to the NAS unit and also out to your computer from the same switch. You're done. And now your transfer speeds are going to be extremely fast, up to 1250 megabits per second. So basically a gig a second, which is crazy fast. You'll be able to edit your 4K footage, no problem. And you'll be able to use this as a server as well. You'll be able to access your files remotely from anywhere in the world. Now, putting drives in any NAS unit is not too difficult. This one, though, makes it about as easy as you can get. Press this button right here. It is completely toolless. You take this out. Look, there's a little button here. Can I show you there in camera 2? Button where you just slide so it expands. So as that's expanded out, you just take your NAS drive here. This is the Seagate IronWolf Pro 16 terabyte, and then I can just put that right in here. Just lay it in like this, and then click it closed, and that is it. You are done, and I now slide it back in place and click it down. There is a little circle here. It comes with a key, and you can lock that in, but it's not going to pop out, right? Even if you press the button, it doesn't pop out. You have to pull it out, so I'm not too worried about that, but you can lock it for extra security. Let's say one of your bratty kids wants to pull out one of your drives. He can't unless he has a key. Not only can you fit a 3.5-inch drive in the drawer, but you can also fit a 2.5-inch drive, but you are going to need a screwdriver and a few screws. And on the bottom of the drive here is where you can install the super fast NVMe drives, as well as upgrade your RAM. And something else I love about the UGREEN unit is the amount of ports that you get. An HDMI port here if you want to connect a monitor, a USB 3.2 port, 2 USB 2.0, and on the front, even more ports. The USB 3.2 is over here, along with a USB-C port and a little slot for an SD card. Look at that, little spring-loaded SD card. So that is great for me. I can just load the footage right from my camera, my wonderful Pulitzer Prize winning photos, right to the unit. You can also plug in other hard drives to this unit if you just want to expand your storage right there. Now, I would recommend you fill all 4 bays with hard drives. You can also use SSDs, but I'm just going to use big hard drives because that is more cost effective. I like the IronWolf 16 terabytes, IronWolf Pro, I believe I have here. And then I use a RAID 5 configuration. And all that means is a big old hard drive, but if one of the drives fails, then I won't lose all of my data. I can just put in another drive. So I will lose, what is it? I have 48 terabytes of storage with a 16 terabyte drive that is just going to be used for redundancy. So I still get a lot of storage out of the money that I spent. Now, to be clear, this is not a backup solution. This is just a bit of redundancy in case one of your drives fails. You should always have a good backup system, something off-site that has doubled your data, and then perhaps a cloud storage as well, so that you can be covered in case something happens to your unit physically, or if you lose stuff on the cloud. It's nice to have a backup off-site, but that is a topic for another day. And on the interface here, this is the Photos app. This is actually really great. This is my recent trip to Jamaica, and it has AI features, so it can identify people. It can categorize your photos for you. Then I can look at all of those on my different devices, my iPad, my phone. I can connect it all to this. That is just great. The times we're living in, crazy times. I can edit offline. It's bananas. It's all I wanted when I first started doing editing and photos, to be able to access everything from everywhere. It's a dream come true. You can check the status of everything here, how much of the CPU is being used, how much of the memory is being used, and you can upgrade the memory in this bad boy as well. Another really easy thing to do to get even better performance out of your NAS. You can check the health of your drives, make sure everything is running properly. You can program it to send you alerts if something is going wrong so that you can fix it right away. These units are so good when you're trying to put out content and you can't lose it. If you're doing somebody's wedding, things that are important, you just have so many safeguards when you use these units properly. Really, really love them. And even though you can use this unit as your own cloud drive, so if you have a file or a folder you want to share with someone else, you can just create a link, send them that link, and they can download it just like they can if you sent them a Google Drive link, except you're not paying Google Drive, you're just using your own drive, which I think is very cool. But this does integrate perfectly with Microsoft OneDrive or Google Drive. You can connect it right through the NAS here. So if you want to back up your Google Drive or Microsoft OneDrive, you can do that as well. And the cost savings can also be enormous if you're using enough data. 112 terabytes to try to put that on Google Drive would cost you a small fortune. Maybe Bezos could do it, but certainly not me. Next year though, I could do it next year. And if you wanted to send someone a link to a file on your NAS, you can do that quite easily. Just go into files here. Let's say I wanted to send my YouTube vid, this Boya Magic mic that I am working on. So I wanted to show that to somebody to get their feedback. I could just share it right here to an external user. I can make it permanently valid or just a custom date for when it will be valid for. I can have a password if I want to make it extra protected, but I will just click on it right now and you will see there's the link that I can copy and also a QR code. Very cool, very cool. There are so many more apps and features that you can use with these things. I do the KISS method. I like to keep it simple, stupid, and I am just using this for my regular content creation. But the more I get into all of the features of these things, the more addicted I am to these types of NAS units. And just look how fast it is to upload a file. This is 1.28 gigabytes. I will just drag it over here to my UGREEN, and then it is simply done almost instantaneously. If I try to upload that to Google Drive, it will take a lot longer. So let's upload that same file to Google Drive now. So even though I have the fastest speed internet that money can buy here in Toronto, 3 gigabits per second in terms of upload, which is very fast, it still took about 25 seconds to download the same clip that took about 1 to 2 seconds on my NAS unit. So if you have very large files, you can see how that would make a giant difference. And now let me just show you the app. This is one of my favorite things. iPad, iPhone, or whatever you have, you can just use your mobile device and take a look at your things. Look at this. The system is good. Everything is normal. I love normal and good. If I want to go in and see my photos, oh, there they are. The majestic Jamaican photos that I took that I will put in a video at some point when I stop being so lazy. When I go on vacation, I just don't want to start the video right away about the vacation. You know what I mean? I need some space. Anyway, it's all here on the app. Very responsive. I love this app. So not only can you store a ridiculous amount of photos, it actually has AI recognition to help you categorize your photos. People recognition, text recognition, similar or duplicate photos, scene or object recognition, pet recognition, automatic recognition of potentially sensitive content. Look at that. It automatically recognizes sensitive content and blurs it out while you are browsing. And a model training package so you can actually train the NAS to recognize specific objects. That is so cool. Like if I go over here to my albums, now you can just see here are some people. You want to have pictures of your wife? Well, there are a bunch where she shows up. Pictures of this kid over here, Ike, check him out. Oh, what wonderful photos. I wonder who took those. So that is so great to have these AI features to help you categorize your photos. And check this out. It did an object recognition category. So animals here. I was at the zoo, took some pictures of some animals. It found them just fine. Transportation. There is a streetcar, subways, cars. That is very cool. I like that. Something else that's great about the photo app is that it actually recognizes a lot of the different RAW formats for cameras. So this is my Sony RAW format, the ARW, and I can see it just fine here on the NAS. It is really great to have that RAW support when you're ingesting a lot of RAW photos like I am. So big thanks to UGREEN for sponsoring this video and, more importantly, making NAS units that I will be buying going forward. I like that you can use so many of the different third-party hard drives without being locked out of any functions. User-friendly, very basic stuff. If you want to keep it basic, if you want all the bells and whistles, you can have them as well. I think it's fantastic. Let me know down below what you think, and we'll have a nice little discussion about it. Thanks for watching this. We'll talk to you again soon. Okay, bye-bye.